Well, let's now bring in a public health physician, Dr. Blossom Madua-Fokwa, for discussions on today's events. Thank you for joining us at this time. Well, let's talk about hepatitis. We understand.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, let's talk about the mode of transmission and then symptoms of infection.
Okay, so when we talk about viral hepatitis, we're speaking about 5 different viruses: hepatitis A, B, C, D, and E. Hepatitis A and E are usually transmitted by what we call the fecal-oral routes. So basically from food, contamination, water contamination as well. Hepatitis B, C, and D are transmitted by what we call blood-borne products. So that would be mother to child. That would be individuals that use injection drug users. That will be through sexual intercourse. So those are the modes of transmission for the different types of hepatitis viruses that we have. Okay. So most of them usually, yes. So most of them usually, individual, depending on the type of virus it is, it could be acute and chronic. So the acute manifestations, a lot of people actually may not have any symptoms at all, but people will have fever, people will have malaise, fatigue, yellowness of the eyes and of the skin, as well as abdominal pain.
All right. Is any more deadly than the other? Because we seem to hear more of hepatitis B.
Absolutely. Okay, so the reason why we hear more about hepatitis B and C as well, it's because they lead to chronic hepatitis. So chronic hepatitis, one of the main problems of chronic hepatitis is what we call liver cirrhosis and then liver cancer. So usually that's the end point. So why, for the acute ones like hepatitis A and E, those ones will usually resolve and the individual will be fine. But for B and C, the long-term end of the manifestation of those two will most likely be cancer of the liver. So that's why they are more lethal than the rest.
All right, the theme for this year's celebration is finding the millions. How easily accessible is a test for this infection?
Okay, so this is where the problem is. I believe one of the correspondents that had spoken in the clip before I came on had spoken about individuals not being able to afford testing, not being able to afford the vaccines. So this is actually where the problem is, because we know that 40% of this country lives in extreme poverty. So we ask ourselves, how are these people going to afford to get tested? How are they going to afford to get vaccinated? I got vaccinated against hepatitis B as an adult. And when I was presented with the bill, I actually took a step back because it was very expensive.
Could you please share with us an idea? Dr. Madua-Fokwa, sorry to interrupt you. Could you share with us the price, the cost range, so people can just have an idea how much it costs?
I mean, it ran into thousands of naira as that when I got vaccinated several years ago. And I'm sure that the price has increased at this point. And I was looking at the bill and saying to myself, the average Nigerian cannot afford this. So we need to find a way to make this accessible to everyone, because prevention of this virus, it's very, very easy and it's very, very simple, and it really works. We need to be able to make this accessible to everyone.
All right, public health physician, Dr. Blossom Madua-Fokwa, thank you for talking to us on TVC News at 7.